Hey guys, I want to take a minute to just do a fun little history refresher for you. December 2nd is a major milestone in U.S. history because we declared on that day something that's going to change the face of the world. Let's go back to 1823, the late 1800s. Thomas Jefferson's still around, John Adams is still around. Those original leaders of the revolution are still around. They're dying fast, but they still exist. Coming off the American Revolution, the French tried to do the same thing that we did and just royally botched it. We're talking hundreds of thousands of their own citizens are dead. Napoleon will come in and conquer France and slap them around, restore law and order, and immediately use the French to invade the rest of Europe, killing millions. We all know about that great disaster he had in Russia, escapes off the island of Elba, all that good European drama. Meanwhile, what's going on over here in the United States for us? We're prospering. We're doing pretty good. We bought Louisiana from Napoleon so he could afford to invade Russia. And it worked out great for us. Land going from New Orleans all the way up to Seattle, Washington. I mean, a huge strip, double the size of the United States. As Napoleon conquered Europe and weakened all of those guys, he really took it out hard on Spain. So what happens to the Spanish colonies in the Americas? Well, they start to rebel with Mexico and all their islands out there in the Caribbean and Central and South America. Simon Bolivar, all those great heroes of the revolutions down there, they start to rise up and rebel. And all over the Western Hemisphere, you have independence movements. You have the Enlightenment principles of equality, of freedom of speech, freedom of religion, the right to vote, the right to be heard. All of that stuff is spreading like wildfire and is still alive over here. Meanwhile, over in Europe, those Enlightenment principles die with Napoleon. The French had gone so crazy, killing so many people, that when Napoleon was finally defeated, the major kings and the major powers of Europe got together in Vienna in 1815, at what we call the Congress of Vienna, to restore conservative order to the planet. They want to restore all of the monarchies destroyed by Napoleon, including the monarchy of France. Remember what happened to the last monarchy of France? Didn't work out too well for old Louis and Marie, did it? And so they also will pick four nations, Great Britain, Prussia, Austria, and Russia. And we're going to call these the Big Four. It's their duty to intervene around the planet to restore the old order. Russia will declare that it owns what's now Alaska, parts of Canada, all the way down to Oregon. They're going to claim that whole Northwest territory up there, Pacific Northwest, that is, and they're going to start blocking ships of other nations from coming in. Well, some of that land is our land. Lewis and Clark explored all that stuff, right? We bought it fair and square from Napoleon. We can't put up with that. Meanwhile, armies are wanting to come over here and restore Spanish territories like Mexico. We can't have that here in America. 1822, the United States will officially recognize Argentina, Chile, Colombia, and Mexico as independent nations. Here comes the Congress of Vienna saying, no, we're going to take them back. We just can't tolerate this stuff. So in 1823, President James Monroe steps out and makes a speech that just changes the world. We're going to call this the Monroe Doctrine. And he declares that the old world of Europe and the new world have distinctly different systems and must remain distinctly different hemispheres. You take your crap and you keep it over there. We're still enlightened over here. If you want to do kings, you do it over there. But if you bring your mess over here, we're going to get involved. Now, the Monroe Doctrine has 4 points to it. Number one, the U.S. will not interfere with any of the internal affairs or wars that go on in Europe. If y'all want European wars, go for it, man. You remember World War I, how it took us several years to get involved? Monroe Doctrine. You remember World War II, how it took us several years to get involved? Monroe Doctrine. Those guys have been fighting for 4 years before we ever got involved over there. Monroe Doctrine. Y'all want to kill each other? You go for it, but you keep your hands off of our side of the world. Number two, the U.S. will not interfere with existing colonies in the Western Hemisphere. If you have a colony over here, like Spain had Cuba, Great Britain had a couple of islands, we're not going to mess with you. Just realize that that's your colony and you ain't spreading out anymore. Number three, the Western Hemisphere is henceforth now and forever closed to colonization. This is what it is. If you don't have a colony here now, you ain't going to get one. And then number 4, anything you do to oppress or aggravate the people of this side of the world in the Americas, the United States will consider that an act of hostility, and we will immediately get involved on the side of the people over here, even if we can't stand the nations over here. So say, for example, Venezuela goes to war with somebody in Europe. Well, we're probably going to take Venezuela's side according to that, even though they've got those dictators down there screaming, death to America, they're all evil, they're a bunch of Satans up there. We look out for this side first. Now, when Teddy Roosevelt comes along, he's going to add to it what we call the Roosevelt corollary that says we police this side of the world. And if anyone from outside of the Western Hemisphere invades, we will help out this side, but I'm not your big brother. I'm not here to get you out of fights and protect you from the bullies and stuff. If you run your mouth a lot, I'm going to come down there and slap you myself. We reserve the right, as the United States, as the leader, the major power of this side of the planet, that if there is gross corruption, if there is, what's the word he used, chronic wrongdoings on this side of the planet, we reserve the right to step in and intervene before it gets carried away. Cuban Missile Crisis, how about that? How many times have we invaded Haiti? In my lifetime, we invaded Panama and took out Noriega. What gave us the right to do that? Well, he was bringing trouble upon us. Nicaragua, El Salvador, all those guys invaded under President Reagan. And so, thanks to the Monroe Doctrine, December 2nd, 1823, we're looking at 197 years of America's influence on this side of the world, trying to prevent a return to the old world style of kings, of oppression, and all of that kind of thing. Sometimes we do great, sometimes we struggle, but we're still in charge. Enjoy your freedoms, and I hope you enjoyed a little reminder of the role that we play in the world.